Hello again, Rolly ZL4T. In this episode, we continue our series in going around New Zealand and interviewing various ham radio operators as we go. This time, I'm going to be talking to one of the best contesters here in New Zealand for sure, arguably one of the best in the world. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that. So why don't you pull up a chair? Yeah, grab a cup of coffee. Come on, let's go.
Greetings, Holger.
Hi, Rolly,
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
Hi, ZL4T Rolly and I'm visiting Holger. Today, ZL3 Italy Oscar, amongst many other calls, of course.
Yeah.
You too have been active in DXing around the Pacific like I have too, haven't you? Yeah. So, I take it from your accent, Holger, you're not from New Zealand.
Yeah, no, we are some of the German Kiwis, so to say. Came to New Zealand in 2009, about 11 years ago. 11, yeah, almost 12.
Right.
And soon settled into Hawke's Bay here. And then started building this little place here.
This little place. We'll have a look at this little place a little bit later on, Holger. Yeah, okay. And so, of course, all your family are involved with amateur radio in one way or another, aren't they?
The cat is accepted. Everyone else has to have a radio call sign.
You got to have a call sign. So there's your wife Bridget. She has ZL2
Yankee Lima.
2YL.
Yeah, ZL2 Yankee Lima. Then our older daughter Saskia, she is ZL2 Golf Quebec, but now lives in Wellington, so has her own family there. And yeah, it's still coming from time to time here, but let's say in the moment not really radioing much.
Right. But
other tasks or topics on the list high. And then is our, let's say, last one, our chicken is Xenia, ZL4 Yankee Lima. There's actually out of the house as well.
Right, there's many operators around the world will have heard Xenia on particularly Morse. She's an excellent contester.
Yeah, she's quite proficient in Morse code, and then with that call sign, obviously, it's easy to remember for us hams, so to say.
I may get the chance to talk to Xenia later. So, Holger, you've got a magnificent station set up here. It's really, really nice. The Aircraft lineup, and we share that in common. I use an Aircraft KX3 actually. That works very well. Excellent station here, and it's been purpose built though, hasn't it?
Yeah, so I'm, hardcore into contesting. That is kind of my main interest in amateur radio, next to DXing, but that comes a little bit as a side effect of having a decent station. That comes relatively easy then automatically. So everything is built around contesting here. So from the antenna layout, from the radio stations, and since the idea was always to do multi-operator contesting, we have 2 operating positions. Yeah, so getting a full multi team together is pretty tough nowadays. But we were always looking at multi-operator to radios. Yeah. And or the so-called multi-2 categories. So we had always 2 operating positions here, which we still see. In the past, those were K3 with KPA 500 amplifiers. So we were never a high power station as such compared to, let's say, European or North American relations. We have changed about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, one line into a flex radio. So you see a flex 66 here. That background was actually to go into a single op2 radio as well. So be able to operate simultaneously on 2 bands in a contest.
Yes.
And this radio offers that out of the box, so without any additional hardware.
Yep.
And then I got this little kit here, this RF kit amplifier, which is a solid state amplifier. And that background as well was to be able to remote control or remotely operate the whole radio station. Though this part is fairly easy remote accessible and remote controllable as well. Yeah, and yeah, the kids do this. Let's say my own or our own kids, plus a couple of other kids that we have or that we get involved here
Yes.
from time to time.
Yes. Great. And over here we have the KX3 lineup or the Aircraft lineup, and that's as a second station. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Very
so
nice
for
indeed.
contests, we have 2 operating positions, and maybe medium term we might change this into flex radio as well. And that actually would have the opportunity if you have 2 operators capable of running single op to radio, so operating simultaneously on 2 bands, you can actually do a multi effort with 2 operators on the station. Or per
And this
ship.
is all mode too, sideband as well as CW and so on like that. But
Yeah, we do sideband and CW mostly, but we also do the odd, let's say, RTTY contest, which is obviously easy enough with all those
yes, indeed.
more or less digital equipment.
Yes.
And yeah, we also do remote contesting in the meantime. So last year, obviously, Xenia was my, how to say, beta tester for everything, being in Auckland at the university. So Xenia has last year run almost 4,000 QSOs in contests remotely.
Right.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And from whatever her university hostel.
Yes.
With a laptop, no other hardware. And yeah, that has still, let's say, some fine tuning to do, or is still some fine tuning to be done, but in general it works fine. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I mean, the results speak for themselves, Holg. When I look around the wall here, the certificates here to all over the place for yourself. ZL2 GQ is one of your daughters. ZL3IO, that's yourself. And of course we have Xenia's ZL4YL, a few up there. But there's one there right in the middle of there, which I see, and that's Zulu Mike 4 Tango.
Yep.
Tell me about ZM4 Tango, because I know that quite a few people around the world would have come across that call sign, specifically in contests. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ZM4T, Zulu Mike 4 Tango, is our, let's say, contest call sign, and that's not us as a family. That obviously has some history. That is a group of contest interested hams here from the greater region, Hawke's Bay,
Right.
on the east coast of the North Island, lower east coast of the North Island, where we are located here. And there was a previous call sign called Zulu Mike 2 Mike that we used
Yes.
originally, or that was, I think Zulu Mike 2 Mike was founded in around 2006. Then in 2009 we changed to Zulu Mike 4 Tango, simply because Zulu Mike 4 Mike or Zulu Mike 2 Mike was tough and phone and caused a lot of repeats and questions. So Zulu Mike 4 Tango was much easier going there.
Right.
And we used that as multi-operator contesting for many years, or for all the years, or since 2009. And some of the, how to say, older wine in the team is not that active anymore. Still part of the group, but not so keen to spend long nights in the share, so to say.
Yep.
And then we took over the legacy of holding up the flag for ZM4T. So
Okay. And in many ways, that's the secret of a contest, isn't it? Is to last the distance.
exactly,
And,
to go the mile, the extra mile to make it to the finish, so to say. Yeah, that's correct. But nevertheless, as you say, we have been quite successful. I mean, there were lots of very well-known contest stations in New Zealand, obviously, ZM2K, the Marlborough, ZL6 Quartz Hill down in Wellington, in Upper Hutt, very nice station over the years. And
ZM1A as well.
Yeah, ZM1A up in north of Auckland at the time. So now Jackie is using it as single operators, and that team had the same aging problem, and people moved obviously around and went to other places, so it's hard to get those teams together again.
Yes.
And but in general, if you look at team contesting and all the former groups, We can now say with some pride that ZM4T is the most successful contest team ever in New Zealand.
Yes.
Yeah, so we hold most of the multi-2 or multi-multi records. If you look at CQ Worldwide, SSB, CW, WPX, ARL, and those large contests. So a lot of those.
There's not much question there, Holger. I often I do a little bit of contesting. In fact, I did a lot of contesting many years ago now, back in the 1980s. So I know what the contesting thing is about. And in fact, I was talking to Zanny a little while ago about some of the records and so on like that. But I quite often sneak up behind you guys and I'll give a couple of numbers out, and I'm always keen to hear what sort of numbers you're giving out, and I look at and I go, oh, you're miles ahead.
But to be fair, on this, if you compare this, it is much easier to set a record nowadays than it was like 10, 15 years back, because the participant numbers are much higher. The forget about last year with COVID-19 and the pandemic, but the multiplier numbers available in contests are much higher.
Yes.
So setting records in contests, in my view, gets easier or got much easier in the let's say last 10 years.
Right,
so
that's an interesting observation.
Now that needs to be mentioned, to be fair, because with the effort those guys did, whatever 20 years ago, was not less than what we did, obviously. And their skills were not worse than ours.
It's remembering back to in those days, from a DX point of view, there was no such thing as clusters and all that sort of stuff. Nowadays, of course, with clusters around, people get onto you very, very quickly, particularly from a DXpedition point of view.
Cluster, skimmer, and
yes, they find out where.
That is seen down there. There's our skimmers running always 24/7. So we have our in-band skimmers for CW and for FT8, and so we know what's going on the bands and feed this back into reverse beacon or PSK reporter networks and the likes.
Yeah, it's a different world really from what it used to be. Arguably a better world, but from some respects. Well, that's great. Now, contesting wise, I believe I don't see any more ski or any paddles around here, Holger.
I guess there's one here for guest
a
operators.
broken pair.
So we don't use much paddle here, so we kind of all use keyboard, because everyone writes blind on a keyboard, from the girls or myself, and so that is faster than with the keyboard. Switching into keyboard modus, so we do all the chatting by keyboard. We still obviously receive through our own brain.
Yes,
but we have the paddle available for guest operators, and we can bring it out for contests.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I personally haven't done very little keyboard operating, but in fact, for myself personally, I still like the straight key. But from a contesting point of view,
we even have a few of those.
Yeah,
I would need to find them in the garage somewhere.
Yes, it's a bit different from a contesting point of view. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's tremendous that to see the setup here and.